In the grand gallery of the mind, the floorboards are made of memory, and the windows are framed by unquestioned truth. Here, a soul walks barefoot, confident in the solid geometry of its own existence. But then, a shadow breathes against the glass. The light bends. It does not shatter, it simply leans, warping the world into something foreign. The air grows thick, tasting faintly of ash and unspoken contradictions. A whisper sweeps through the corridors, gently suggesting the floorboards were never oak, but water. The soul looks down, ripples. A master architect has entered the sanctum, carrying no hammers, only mirrors angled to deceive. The invasion does not begin with a roar of conquest, but with a terrifying rearrangement of the stars. The sky is no longer up, and the ground no longer holds. The architect of illusions does not bring a storm to tear down the fortress. He brings a chisel to chip away at the cornerstone of perception. He operates as a phantom of empathy, cloaked in the velvet of concern, whispering that the colors you see are merely figments of a tired imagination. You are remembering it wrong. The phantom breathes, a melody played flawlessly on the strings of your deepest insecurities. The first displacement is entirely microscopic, a misplaced word, an altered detail of a shared evening, a promise seemingly never made but fiercely debated. You brush it off as a tremor of a flawed memory, unaware that the foundation has just absorbed its first drop of acid. The mind, naturally seeking harmony and connection, attempts to bridge the gap between what it fundamentally knows and what the architect confidently claims. This is the tragic, fatal flaw of the empathetic spirit. It operates on the assumption that the other speaks from a shared, objective reality. By accommodating the lie to keep the peace, the victim willingly hands over a brick from their own temple. The phantom smiles, a crescent moon in a starless night, taking that brick to build the first curved wall of your new labyrinth. The world outside the mind begins to blur, the edges of objects losing their sharpness, as the internal compass spins wildly in search of a true north that has been quietly magnetized by a foreign, deliberate hand. Doubt takes root, a creeping ivy that slowly strangles the towering pillars of personal conviction. As the ivy of uncertainty blossoms into a dense, suffocating canopy, the architect moves with bolder, wider strokes. He begins to rewrite the very laws of physics within your mental landscape, altering gravity until it becomes a variable dependent entirely on his fluctuating mood. Up is only up when he nods his approval, and the sun only rises if he permits the dawn to break. This is the dark alchemy of subjugation, systematically turning the gold of your autonomy into the heavy lead of utter dependence. When you cry out in the dark asserting that the night is freezing, he wraps you in a shroud of ice and boldly calls it warmth. You shiver violently, yet you are conditioned to thank him for the fire. The genius of this dark design lies in its agonizingly gradual nature. If the sky turned crimson in an instant, the mind would instantly rebel, recognizing the threat of the anomaly. But if the blue fades to violet, then to purple, then to a bruised plum over 1,000 quiet evenings, the eyes adjust to the hemorrhage of daylight without alarm. The architect meticulously curates a museum of falsified history, replacing your authentic portraits with distorted, grotesque caricatures of yourself. You are too sensitive. You are prone to madness. You are the sole author of your own suffering. The voice of the intruder merges seamlessly with your internal monologue, becoming a parasitic twin, whispering from behind your own eyes. You no longer need him in the room to question your sanity. You have fully internalized the inquisitor. Sequestered within walls of mirrored distortions, the victim finds themselves exiled from the continent of objective truth, drifting into an uncharted void. The architect ensures this psychological isolation is absolute and unyielding. Bridges to external validation, friends, family, the anchoring weight of communal reality are systematically burned to the ground, leaving the victim marooned on a desolate island governed by a mad king. The manipulator paints the outside world as a landscape of relentless hostility, positioning himself as the sole, necessary guardian of your fragile psyche. They do not understand you. Only I know the true depths of your brokenness. This is the ultimate theft, the complete hijacking of your reality testing. The victim's senses are declared contraband, their primal instincts labeled as treasonous acts against the relationship. To navigate this new warped geography, the mind must constantly reference the architect's map, a map that shifts its topography entirely upon every desperate consultation. Exhaustion sets in, a profound bone-deep weariness that comes from holding up a sky that is constantly, heavily falling. The cognitive dissonance becomes a shrieking frequency in the inner ear, drowning out the faint, dying song of intuition. You are reduced to a ghost haunting your own flesh, wandering through rooms that change shape the moment you turn your back. The architecture of gaslighting is complete, not when the victim believes the specific lie, but when they completely abandon the concept that a truth can exist independently of the manipulator's tongue. The shadow has swallowed the sun, and the victim learns to worship the darkness as their only remaining source of light. In the abyssal depths of this engineered twilight, the self fractures into a scattered mosaic of shattered reflections. You look into the glass and see only the fragmented monster the architect has meticulously carved out of your original innocence. The mind, once a tranquil sanctuary of quiet contemplation, is now a relentless, deafening tribunal where you are simultaneously the terrified accused, the corrupt judge, and the weary executioner. Every memory is brutally cross-examined until it bleeds out its original color. Every pure emotion is suffocated before it can draw a single breath of legitimacy. You walk perpetually on eggshells, scattered across a floor of paper-thin ice, terrified that a single unpredictable misstep will provoke the terrifying silence or the wrathful storm of the one who controls the weather. This paralyzing fear is the masterpiece of the gaslighter's design. The victim no longer fights to escape the labyrinth. They fight desperately to appease the minotaur residing comfortably at its center. The hunger for validation from the very source of the torment becomes an all-consuming addiction. You beg for a crumb of reality, a single nod of agreement, just to feel the solid earth beneath your feet for a fleeting, merciful second. But the architect cruelly withholds, offering only a mirage of clarity that evaporates the exact moment you reach out to touch it. The cruelty is not incidental. It is the vital mortar that binds the heavy bricks of his dominion. He watches you chase phantoms of his own creation, studying your frantic desperation with the cold detachment of a scientist observing an insect trapped in amber. Your confusion is his nourishment, your lost identity the gleaming crown he wears in the invisible kingdom of your conquered mind. There exists a silence so profound at the bottom of the abyss that it ceases to be a mere absence of sound and becomes a crushing physical weight. Here, in the deepest oubliette of the architect's fortress, the victim lies curled in the cold ashes of their former ego. The erasure of the original self is nearly total. Even the memory of what it felt like to be whole, to be certain, feels like a fading myth whispered by a stranger in a forgotten foreign tongue. You become a hollow vessel, waiting passively to be filled with whatever narrative the puppet master decides to pour into you today. Will you play the role of the hysterical villain, the incompetent child, or the ungrateful burden? You accept the daily costume without a shred of protest, your limbs heavy with the paralyzing lethargy of profound cognitive surrender. The spark of rebellion, that fierce primal flame of self-preservation, has been starved of oxygen for so long, it resembles nothing but a cold gray cinder, or so the arrogant architect firmly believes. But deep within the marrow of the human spirit, beneath the dense layers of implanted doubt and synthetic guilt, there is a hidden vault that cannot be picked by the sophisticated tools of manipulation. It is the sanctum of the inviolate soul, a microscopic point of singularity that absolutely refuses to yield its final stubborn atom of truth. It slumbers quietly, playing dead amidst the psychological ruins, waiting patiently for a catalyst. The architect, intoxicated by his own supreme victory, inevitably grows careless. He repeats a lie too blatantly, contradicts his own twisted gospel too sharply, and in that momentary lapse of his flawless performance, a tiny jagged crack splinters across the facade of his constructed universe. Through that microscopic fissure, a single sharp beam of undeniable reality violently pierces the dark. That single penetrating beam of light strikes the dormant cinder of intuition, and a microscopic ember instantly glows red in the suffocating dark. It is a terrifying, earth-shattering awakening. To see the crack in the wall is to realize that the wall itself exists, and more dreadfully, to realize that the vast open sky beyond it has been there all along, deliberately hidden from view. The mind violently recoils from the sheer magnitude of the betrayal. It is a nauseating vertigo, a sudden violent shift in gravity that threatens to tear the fragile psyche entirely apart. The realization does not arrive with triumphant trumpets or warm comfort, but with the silent, horrifying clarity of waking up mid-surgery and seeing the bloody scalpel in the hands of a supposed healer. The architect is not a confused companion, he is a calculated predator of perception. The memories he claimed were erased were not flawed, they were stolen. The madness you felt drowning you was not a sickness of your brain, but a highly toxic venom systematically injected into your bloodstream. As this horrifying truth crystallizes, the labyrinth begins to vibrate with the dangerous frequency of your newly born outrage. The walls of mirrored glass, once seemingly absolute and impenetrable, now reveal their cheap, glued seams. You see the hidden wires, the rusted pulleys, the cheap theatrical tricks used to simulate thunder and awe. The omnipotent god of your reality is suddenly, jarringly reduced to a small, desperate man pulling levers furiously behind a velvet curtain. The spell is not broken immediately, but its dark mechanics are finally, undeniably exposed. The victim breathes in the dusty air of the crumbling illusion, and for the first time in an eternity, the air fills their lungs without requesting the architect's permission. Awareness is the first, sharpest weapon forged in the fires of this new dawn. But awareness alone cannot dismantle the heavy stone of the fortress. It requires the heavy iron of sustained action. The soul, deeply bruised but fiercely breathing, must become a master blacksmith of its own reality, hammering out heavy psychological anchors to tether itself permanently back to the objective world. The first critical anchor is the aggressive reclaiming of memory, the sacred defiant act of writing your truth in indelible ink before the architect can erase it with gaslighting whispers. You become a silent, vigilant archivist, meticulously documenting the days, the exact conversations, the undeniable chronological sequence of events. When the phantom returns to twist the narrative, confidently telling you the sky was green yesterday, you do not engage in the exhausting battle of argument. You simply touch the hidden heavy ledger in your mind, the iron weight of your recorded truth holding you fast against the howling gale of his deceit. This is the rigorous practice of cognitive boundary setting, an invisible, impenetrable fortress wall built of undeniable cold facts. You learn to clinically observe rather than emotionally absorb. When the architect throws his familiar rusted daggers of projected guilt, you let them clatter harmlessly against the unyielding stone of your detached observation. You are no longer an active participant in his twisted, tragic play. You have stepped off the stage and taken a quiet seat in the back of the audience, watching the dramatic performance with cold, highly analytic eyes. The panic that once violently seized your chest at his displeasure is slowly, steadily replaced by a clinical, almost pitying curiosity. You watch him attempt to turn the invisible dials of your emotions, noting his rising frustration when the ancient machinery completely fails to respond. The power dynamic shifts imperceptibly, yet monumentally. The heavy chains of dependence begin to rust and flake away, weakened beyond repair by the steady, corrosive drip of your newly reclaimed autonomy. To survive the dangerous final days trapped within the crumbling labyrinth, the newly awakened traveler must entirely master the stoic art of the stone. The architect thrives entirely on emotional turbulence. He ravenously feeds on the tears, the desperate logical explanations, the frantic attempts to force him to see reason and humanity. To completely deny him this feast is to starve the beast of its only fuel. The mind becomes a smooth, featureless rock, devoid of any jagged handholds for his manipulative claws to grip. When he strikes with a newly fabricated crisis or a shocking accusation, you offer only the shallow, unbothered breath of absolute indifference. "Is that so?" you murmur, a hollow, devastating echo that absorbs his roaring fire and instantly extinguishes it in a dark void of non-reaction. This deliberate emotional starvation drives the manipulator into a wild frenzy. He will aggressively escalate, conjure wilder storms, and project monstrous, unfounded accusations, desperate to elicit the sweet, familiar nectar of your anguish. But the heavy iron anchor holds fast. Deep beneath the turbulent, choppy surface waters, your core remains perfectly still, deeply tethered to the unshakable bedrock of your self-trust. You watch the frantic, uncoordinated dance of the illusionist as he completely exhausts his dark repertoire, his pathetic magic tricks failing to conjure anything but his own naked desperation. The walls of the labyrinth, utterly starved of the emotional energy required to sustain their projection, begin to thin. They turn translucent, then fully transparent, revealing the vast, beautiful expanse of the real world waiting patiently just beyond the crumbling perimeter. The phantom, once a terrifying giant whose shadow blotted out the sun, shrinks remarkably with every refused engagement. He is diminished by your silence, effectively erased by your sheer lack of fear. You realize, with a shock of liberating clarity, that his power was never inherent. It was entirely conditionally borrowed from your willingness to believe in him. By aggressively withdrawing your belief, you rapidly repossess your vital force, drawing the scattered, bleeding fragments of your soul back into a unified, radiant whole. The ultimate moment of exodus is not a violent, fiery explosion, but a quiet, intensely resolute turning away. The heavy, imposing doors of the psychological prison do not need to be battered down with a ram. They were only ever locked from the inside by the trembling hands of your own hijacked doubt. You boldly reach out, firmly grasp the handle forged of your renewed self-trust, and pull, The ancient hinges scream, unaccustomed to the forward movement, but the heavy door yields without a fight. You step bravely over the threshold, leaving the frantic architect stranded alone in the dusty museum of his own hollow echoes. He may violently call out, his voice a pathetic wavering blend of absolute command and whining supplication, weaving final desperate spells in an attempt to bind your moving feet. But you do not look back. To look back is to invite the phantom into the safety of the present. The air outside the labyrinth is blindingly crisp, sharply cold, and painfully beautifully real. It is a raw, unedited atmosphere, completely uncurated by a malicious, controlling hand. The ground beneath your boots is solid rock. The sky above is undeniably brilliantly blue. You stand firmly in the center of your own life once more, a sovereign, untouchable entity in a universe strictly governed by objective truth. The deep scars of the invisible war undoubtedly remain, etched permanently into the architecture of your mind, but they are no longer bleeding wounds. They are valuable maps. They meticulously mark the territories of past vulnerability, heavily fortified now by the unbreakable anchors of unyielding self-respect. You have walked barefoot through the valley of the shadow of madness, and emerged not as a broken victim, but as a master cartographer of the dark. The illusions hold absolutely zero power over a mind that has tasted the bitter, life-giving medicine of absolute clarity. The wind howls across the plains, a wild and free symphony, and for the very first time in years, you deeply trust your own ears to hear its authentic, uncorrupted song. From the ash of a hijacked mind, a new architecture rises. The rotting timbers of subservience are swept away, replaced by the cold, heavy stone of unyielding boundaries. Here, in the cleared soil of the psyche, intuition is no longer a dismissed whisper, it is the reigning oracle. When the subtle hairs on your neck rise at a misplaced word, you do not doubt the warning. You fiercely honor it as the sophisticated radar of a veteran who has survived an invisible war. Trust becomes a heavy golden currency, minted strictly for those whose actions flawlessly match their speech over time. You construct a fortress of radical self-knowledge, mapping every contour of your own virtues and flaws. By knowing yourself with brutal, unwavering honesty, you become entirely immune to the foreign invader who tries to convince you that your mountains are valleys. The gaslighter cannot edit a manuscript that is already published in stone. A profound, heavy stillness settles over this sovereign territory. This peace is not born from the absence of monsters, but from the iron certainty that you will never again let one pilot your ship. To survive is to accept a chilling truth. Phantoms walk among us in human skin, starving for the light of others. Yet acknowledging them brings no fear, only absolute power. You observe the world's grand masquerade with cold, piercing eyes, instantly spotting the subtle, sticky threads they attempt to attach to your wrists. With a gentle, decisive motion, you brush them away before they can tighten. The tragic illusionist is rendered powerless, a shadow playing to an empty room. The profound grief of betrayal slowly hardens into a fierce, protective wisdom. You stand as a towering lighthouse on a jagged coast, a beacon that not only secures your own shores, but silently illuminates the deadly reefs for other weary travelers lost in the mist. In the golden twilight of this awakening, the soul surveys a kingdom that is finally, undeniably its own. The treacherous maze of gaslighting has been entirely overwritten by the massive pillars of objective reality. You breathe, and the crisp air is yours. You remember, and the memories remain securely locked away from the greedy vandal's touch. The descent into the distortion was agonizing, but the self emerges with a robust immunity that cannot be bought or faked. It is the rare, terrifying clarity of the initiated. If the shadows ever dare to lengthen again, if a velvet voice tries to suggest the solid ground is an illusion, you will not falter. You will simply drop your heavy anchor into the bedrock of your being and trust your own unwavering compass. The invisible war concludes in victorious, unshakable silence. The sovereign monarch has returned to the throne, and the grand gallery of the mind is bathed in absolute truth. If the heavy fog of another's deception has ever clouded your true north, anchor yourself here. Subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and comment how you rebuilt your boundaries. Show the dark that your mind is awake, and the architect is exiled.